What's going on? Welcome to the episode of Just Build It. I'm here, Jay from Wolfpack Performance, also known as the Harsh Time Teggy, where we're doing the wide body build project. And I'm here with Sanyo from S1 Built. And we are going to go into a lot of things as far as nuances and pros, cons about all-wheel drive conversions, but specifically trailing arm situations. Because out here in a world where these cars, Civics and Integras, are becoming 20-year plus old, parts are getting a bit harder to find. S1 Built are doing things to try to keep us in the newer times with older parts, with newer builds. So, Sanyo, how you doing today, man?
Good. Everything's good.
Good. New location from the last time we talked on. Okay, so how's that going for you all?
It's going really good. We actually outgrew this place already, so hopefully, maybe in another year or so we could get into a bigger location so we could do more R&D and stuff like that. So
what's causing you to grow? What is growing for you? Because you moved out of one, you moved into this one, you're already outgrowing that. So what's the bigger portion of the growth for the company to have to move locations for you all?
Just be able to have stores.
Okay.
I mean, like to store cars. So when we do the R&D and stuff like that, we have vehicles here, like pushing cars in and out every night. So it's
tiresome.
When we moved over here, when we first moved in, it looked like, wow, this is a big place, because we went from literally a 1,500 square feet. And that's, we're like, what, 5 of us or something like that at the time. And even, the guy that was doing YouTube was literally in back of the guy that was welding. So we were doing everything just real tight. So we were just, and we come over here, we're like, wow, we don't have to push no cars in no more. But, because we got 4 lifts now. And now it's just everything is just all thrown in there. So, but more inventories and stuff like that. So shippings and everything else. So we're growing in that aspect, because I said, I think it's what it is all these chassis that we're doing, we're going to need place to put all these, because a lot of people don't want to wait when they buy something. They want it right there and then. So
right,
when we first started, it's kind of funny because when we first started, we would build if you order it, we would have to build it there because we couldn't afford to do it, because it was never meant to be a full blown this where we're at now, put it right.
Right, so, a whole package deal, it was all a package and got you.
I wasn't planning on doing it, but everything, the support and everything has been, awesome. So we're you know what? Let's just do this. Let's do it for the community, So, and then that's how we said, and then more and more we talk to people that are like, well, you guys make this or make that. So we're let's just make it a one-stop shop for all-wheel drive.
There we go.
That's where it came about. So
okay, so I do consider you all a one-stop shop for all-wheel drive. Yeah. So let's get into this, because recently I made a purchase. Trailing, I ran into some trailing arm issues, and some of you all out there might run into the same issues. I'm doing a full build. I completely disassembled the car to go to paint, probably the furthest I've ever disassembled any car. The shop calls me, says the bushings are seized. They're trying to use mouse milk, any type of penetrant to get it out. So now we're in a situation where it's okay, we need another set of trailing arms. So I'm in this decision where I'm okay, if I get another set of old trailing arms off another Integra, I probably likely run into the situation. And right now, the market value of these older parts is almost equating to what you might pay for an OEM newer part because of the scarcity and the availability. Then I said, I was going to reach out to you all. So I reached out to S1, hey, if I'm going to do trailing arms, maybe I do something. You also, let's talk about the level of trailing arms. I think you start with an OEM style. You have an Alpha 6 and an Alpha 6 Lite, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's start with the OEM style. What is the difference between a customer trying to source an older trailing arm or even maybe an OE trailing arm compared to an S1 built OEM trailing arm? Give them the differences between those two options and the pros of that.
Okay, so this is I have it right here. So
okay,
this is the OEM one that we produce. These are, like I said, they're not hard, but they're like you said, they're scarce. Now we would actually have to travel to where you had to pick some of these up. So the difference is most of these cars that we get it from like the junkyard or whatever it is, these things are beat up. Like we don't know, like it's most of the time it's all rusted. We can't even get some of these bolts off right here. This bolt here, sometimes it breaks and all that. So it's one of those things like, okay, do I want to keep doing that? As we're growing, we don't have time to run to the junkyard, to take a few days just to make a drive to pick up all these junkyards. So it's a pain in the butt, to do. So we're like, okay, well, we'll still offer it because we were going to discontinue completely. But, there are a lot of people like, you know what, I want the OEM arms because it's what they
I think they're accustomed to it.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, oh, I want that OEM look. In reality, you're never going to see these arms on your car. Once you get this thing powder coated like the other one, powder coated black, you can't see anything, So,
right.
What we do to this is, of course, we put the biggest thing we do is
reinforcement.
Reinforce, yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't need it. Yeah, you don't need it if you're just doing like just a straight on track, just straight. But we've seen actually these right here. You need these from flexing, even way back in the days. So we gutted this, and then also we put our own plate, and then we got our own hubs that we put on here.
Nice.
This is our S1 hubs that we use, So
they are nice.
Yeah, and these are like they're bigger. They're actually bigger than the other ones that the other company uses. We went with the bigger one. Yeah, it's like maybe a pound heavier, but if you're driving on the street, you want something, more, beefy. Like it will take heat, beefy. It will take heat and all that and everything. So that's what we found out because most of the time the guys that are using these, they're going to be like for the street or something like that. Like it's not they're daily and stuff like that. So yeah. So that's.
Is there an extended stud version of that? Like, can clients or customers order extended stud right from you all if they wanted extended studs, or something that they have to do later on and they get them?
No, they could do it. They could do it, or we could do it. All they got to do when they place the order, or even contact us, say, "Hey, can I, get that option of extended stud?" The only thing that we don't do on this is the bushings. We don't provide the bushings. The reason why we don't is because like. If we put one on, someone's like, I don't want that. I want, spherical bushings on there, or I want the soft bushings. So we're like, no, let them do it this way here. The price will be a little bit cheaper, and then they could pick, whatever they want to do. So this way here, because for them to come and let's say we put spherical bushings in here and charge more, they're like, well, I didn't want that. Now they're paying for something they don't need, So
got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next level up from that. Because that one, no bushings, you got the reinforced back on it, more beefier hubs. And am I correct in saying that also does give you the ability to convert to all-wheel drive application in that same trailing arm configuration, correct?
Correct. So
cool. Okay.
Actually, all of them would this one here will convert it to the all-wheel drive, of course.
Okay.
But if you can still use this in a front-wheel drive, because all you got to do is put a stubby. I'll show you. One second. So all you need, if you want to, let's say, you're building an all-wheel drive car, you're like, what, I want to start out with the arms, but I want to, still drive it as a front-wheel drive. All you got to do is put these stubbies in to lock the bearings together. So make sure whatever you do, because we have a couple incidents, so where they actually put this arm on and they told it on a two dolly.
Okay.
A tow dolly, and the wheels came off. And they're like, oh, there's something wrong with the arms, but it's not the arms. What it is they don't have a stubby and arm axle. That's what holds it together. So
that's what holds it together.
You can still drive it. You can still drive it as a front wheel drive, but use these stubbies.
Okay. Got you.
So
got you. So if you're going to just use it for front wheel drive, then you need those stubbies.
Stubbies, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
So now do you need those stubbies if you're doing the Alpha 6 trailing arms and you're only doing front wheel drive?
Yes, you do, all of them, because none of these bearings are not pressed in.
Got you.
You need to hold the bearing together, and that's how you use these. So so if you're moving the car around, even around the shop and stuff, I would recommend using this because you don't want to mess up the bearing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Alpha 6. Let's talk about the Alpha 6 because I know I'm not doing all-wheel drive. I'm doing only front wheel drive, but I got the Alpha 6 trailing arms, spherical bushings. So let's talk about the progression to Alpha 6. What are you getting when you're leaving the OEM style of S1 built trailing arms to the Alpha 6 trailing arm?
Okay, so when we came up with the Alpha 6, we wanted like the biggest issues that what people are running across with these arms is clearance, is wheel clearance, of course. We gave it like an extra inch, pretty much like an inch. So you could run. We seen people run like 18 by 10s with it.
Ooh, nice.
Depending on the offsets and all that, of course.
Right.
But yeah. So like most of these, 15 by 8 with like a 30 offset, you should be fine with some big meaty tires. But like on the OEM one, you would have to use spacers and all that
to push it out.
Yeah, to push it out and all that. So with this one here, we went in with it more, So
nice.
With that, what else? Also, we did it in stainless. So a lot of these, like I was saying before. On the OEM style, they're steel, so they would get really, really rusty and all that and everything. So the stainless one won't. So so the guys that's living up north and all that, it's good for that. So
facts.
Yeah.
Maryland, all those salty white state roads that get up under your undercarriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, the spherical bushings come with the Alpha 6, correct, too? So now at this point, you're including the spherical bushings in that.
Yes. So that's the one that you have. Let me see. I have it here. So, here. These are actually will be included with it. Yeah. So these are built in to the arms.
Okay. Yeah,
so
and you can unbolt those pretty easily. Yes. Okay, you can unbolt those pretty easily, and then you could just press them out or just knock them out with a phenolic hammer or something like that.
Yeah, here. Yeah. These are the 2 bolts that holds it in. Yeah.
Nice.
So
all right, and then
the same location, you bolt it up, with this thing in. So
there it is.
That's the one that you have. So
yes. So also let's talk about the framework. What made you all use the boxing style? Because I think I pretty much know, but a lot of people might know, like, why is it in this box configuration more than resembling what the OEM style was? The Alpha 6 looks completely different. Why choose that type of that structure for the trailing arm?
For strength. The way that if you see it, if you took a real close look at it, everything is interlocked to each other. So this is locked into here like this. So there's no movement. If you have it like this, it's going to move, But if you lock it in here, there's no way it's going to move. So, that's the reason why. Plus, it's easier to assemble also.
Okay. All right.
Easier to assemble and all that. So you're not, everything just locks in. Boom, boom, boom. It's like a Lego system.
Like a Lego set.
Yeah, exactly. But everything got to be cut so precise in order to get,
right.
So yeah.
And then we go to the Alpha 6 Light. Now I guess Light would pretty much describe what's going on. Are we looking at weight savings here? And if so, where's the weight savings coming from, or what is it when you say light?
Okay, so we couldn't say short or whatever. Say, well, it's a little bit lighter. It's like maybe a few pounds lighter. But the main difference on that is the front portion of it. Here's the Alpha Light. So this front portion here. Everything's the same except right here. So right here, where the regular, this is that. This is the difference right here. We pretty much took this thing out.
Okay.
We took this part out here. So yeah, it's a few pounds lighter. But and then what we did was, instead of having the toe, at the very end,
toe link, right?
We built the toe right here with it. So the toe adjustment is here. That's all you really need. And this thing, what really bolts up to, how this thing, bushing.
Yes.
So that's the only thing is we got rid of it. So this is pretty good because a lot of cars from up north, that part where the toe's at, it gets stripped out.
Right.
Stripped out and all that. We have so many, get stripped out. And usually most of the time, for some reason, this one here, it's not as bad. It doesn't get stripped out and all that.
True.
So they could eliminate that completely, and you could adjust the toe from here.
That's nice. So that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
That is nice. So was that the whole idea behind that? Is because you're right, that toe link area, because my Integra originally came from Maryland. So I remember when I first got that car, literally bolts were disintegrating because of all the salt that had got to it. So was that the full idea of that, or was it just another byproduct of doing something else?
No, because we wanted to do, okay, so when we did this, we're like, you know what, these guys that's using these arms, these is adjustable, so you could push the wheel back. You could actually push this wheel back. You know what? You get a long one to push it back for traction.
Nice.
So you could do that.
You extend your wheelbase, so you can.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice, bro.
You do that with just longer, you know. So that's that's what this came about. So
that is a nice feature right there, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into this, because a lot of people were saying, hey, you got these trailing arms. I like options. I like the fact that I have a trailing arm that allows me to open up to other possibilities should I ever get down the road and say, hey, I've got a fully built motor, which I do, forged internals, titanium, everything. It's ready. If I want to do turbo or not, the motor's ready for it. But I'm just not there yet because of my configuration of a build. I'm doing wide body. I'm more show street. So that's my application. So why turn the motor up and do all-wheel drive? But what would you say is the point somebody should consider converting from front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive? Where is that decision? Where's that fork in the road?
When you start getting on it and all you do is spin, it's time.
Okay.
It's time, yeah, because really, it feels like in a front-wheel drive car, it might feel faster, but it's really not, because all you're doing is spinning. You're all over the road. You're trying to hold on with your dear life, Yeah. So even like this one here, like take for example, a 300, people was like, oh, it's not worth like the NA. The all motor K series, producing, 300 horsepower. It's not worth the all-wheel drive. It's definitely worth it. Because in a 300, Civic all-wheel drive, you're going to be all over the road. You're going to be bouncing off the limiter, like
true.
Yeah. So this yellow one that we have, makes about that. That thing is straight. It's just like you get on it. It's just straight. Like, yeah. You're not all over the road. You're not trying to hang on with your dear life, and all that. But it's just so smooth. And also we can even, like, when it rains, that thing dead hooks.
Oh man.
So it's like, wow, like you don't get that on a front wheel drive, even on a
not at all
sunny day.
Not at all.
It's really worth it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the beginning, they were like, oh no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And once when they get into like an all-wheel drive Civic, Honda,
right,
it changes their mind. Like,
change their life.
Yeah. It really is. It's just like how it's basically the way I see it. Like when I was growing up, when no one was doing turbo and all that and everything, and we're talking about Southern California, so no one was doing it, and you get this turbo car, and then you get into your first turbo car, you're like, holy smoke, this is it. It's the same thing. It's the same feeling and all that, but
but just different. So now you're getting more of the power to the actual street instead of just burning it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
the handling is a lot better too.
That's what I was going to ask you next. So how's the handling? And because some of these people are doing more than just drag, they're actually trying to do circuit, time attack. So is it across the board handling and that? So explain a little bit of that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's we've been getting a lot of people that has a misconception saying that the all-wheel drive won't be that great in the circuit, it doesn't work, this and that. That's not even the case.
That's hogwash.
It's all, yeah. So because usually, the all-wheel drive helps when you come in out of the we usually when you come out of the turn, you got to baby it, you got to hold on to it, but with the all-wheel drive, we had a video of Luigi he sent us, before and after. The before was like he was fighting it, but when he got the all-wheel drive, it was just like it was nothing.
More continuity.
Yeah, exactly. So the control really helps. Really helps, especially trying to go straight.
So this is not, because there's a large conception out there, or I say a large folklore. I would say that all-wheel drive is when you get turbo. Like that's what, like, some people just think like when you go turbo, it's all-wheel drive, whether you're K series. Some people think, well, when you do K series, that's when you're in all-wheel drive territory. But Sanyo is saying, like, pretty much if you're losing traction 60 feet out, you're still shifting gear, spinning third, and you're still spinning, it's time to do all-wheel drive.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's definitely that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
What kind of average?
I wouldn't put it on a motor that makes like 100
Right. That might, at that point in time, you might be putting more strain on something else than anything. It's just not gonna. It's not. You're probably bogging out.
Unless you're in the snow.
Right. So I would say, what are some average times? Like, let's say we got a K series all motor. Let's go ahead and keep it around 300 horsepower. One front wheel drive, one all wheel drive. What is the average difference if we could just take both riders and put them in there that you think we would see on an ET time of a drag strip, like a quarter mile?
I don't know. I don't want to say a time because I wouldn't really know, Okay. It would have to, a lot of stuff would factor in,
Would factor in.
Yeah, like.
Because I think all the top 10 fastest Civics and Integras are running all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
At this point in time. They're all running all-wheel drive. Yeah. Now, how is it when you're getting ready to tune these things on a dyno, having an all-wheel drive car? Like, how does the tuning solution work for that?
It's the same. It's the same thing you would tune like a front wheel drive, because people don't realize that it's not like, people think it's a 40-50 or, like the splits and all that, 30. It's not. It's when it engages, it's a 50-50 split. And that's why these things are so good. To me, I think the way that the system works, it's better than some of these all-wheel drive systems out there, because it acts. It's kind of like a front-wheel drive car, but when it sees slippage, it locks it back. The viscous coupler locks it. So to me, that's better than having an all-wheel drive all the time where it's always locked. Now what you're doing, you're just dragging the back with it.
Right.
So.
Okay, so I did not know that about this system. So it has a point of engagement.
Yeah, when it sees slippage, and all that, when the viscous coupler, because we use the viscous coupler. So when that sees slippage, it locks up the heat and all that, locks it up, and then that's where the back gets engaged.
Oh, that's nice.
We're talking about like different thickness of fluid will engage sooner. Harder. Yeah. Well, it would grab harder.
Oh, got you. So your rate of slippage is less. It's like a clutch. That's what I was just going to say. Pretty much like a clutch disc.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some things that people should know prior to doing an all-wheel drive conversion? Because I often have people ask me, what's my wheel setup? What's this? And sometimes I'm a little, not that I'm gatekeeping, I'm a little hesitant to tell them, because sometimes you tell some people and then they go do it and they're like, oh, well, I end up having to do this and do that, and I didn't know that this was going to be a problem. What are some things people should know before doing an all-wheel drive conversion? If you're going to do it, you need to be prepared to do these few things, and then you should be good, besides for a little odd end stuff.
Yeah. Let me see. I would say figure out exactly what, like the kits and stuff that they want to use and stuff like that, and then go from there. Well, actually, to see what kind of driving they're doing. There you go. Would be like what kind of driving and stuff like that. Because some people are like, oh, you know what? It's going to be, I'm only going to drive on the weekends, once in a while. I'm only making 350 horse, 400 horsepower, this and that. But they end up, but it's the same guys like, oh, I want the very, like I want to spend $7,000-8,000 just for a diff, a dry shaft, and all that. To me, that's not worth it. It's not worth it, because the CRV stuff would handle, good power, as long as you don't use the thicker fluid. If you're using the 30K and stuff like that, you'll be fine with 600 horsepower, 550,
Damn, that's nice numbers.
Yeah, so and people, like they're always like, oh, I want, like, I mean, they could afford it, fine, but what I'm saying, most people, there's no need to go spend $7,000-8,000 for a drive line that you don't need, that you're only going to be pushing, 300-400 horsepower, So
okay, what's the price range there that they should expect to spend, like in the kit and maybe overall for them to finish everything out?
Okay, so the kits are usually around like between $2,000 to like $2,800, depending on what kit they go with. Because we got a couple of options and stuff. Some are harder to make. Some of them are, that's the kit. Let me see. The full thing. Let me just break it down. Let's see. The kit that comes with the arms, the rear diff mount kit, and then the billet forks. That's usually what it is. That's the main thing that you need for the all-wheel drive. Well, it's the stuff that you need to convert it over. Of course, you're gonna need a diff. A diff is anywhere, like if you use a CRV diff, you could probably pick one at the junkyard up for maybe $150 or so.
Okay.
Then you still got to, go get it and all that. Clutch locking plate, you put a clutch locking plate in there. If you're going to do that, you're looking about another $180 for that,
Okay.
So, dry shaft. Now the dry shaft, it could be $100 or it could be $3,000. It all depends on how you go about, looking for it and who has it. And, you could look online and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't want to deal with it. People are just like, hey, they're just like, I want to
take care of it.
Yeah. So we do that. So this way here, they're not buying stuff that they don't need. Because there's times where we had a customer like, oh, I bought this and that and everything. I was like, well, none of that stuff is going to work. Because it's going to cost you more to do it this way than just to buy this. Because people use adapters and all that, and I hate adapters. It's not, so that's why we make the flanges and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, the dry shaft axles are about $550 for the axles somewhere.
Okay.
A diff, like I said, a diff could run from $100 to $2,500, depending on if you're using a wagon or CRV, But realistically, let's just say $500 for a diff with the clutch locking plate,
Okay.
For that much. So that's basically the main thing,
So it seems like we're underneath that 4,000 price tag if we do it a certain way.
Yeah, you could definitely do it under that if you source everything out yourself,
Right. Oh yeah, that's straight. That's a pretty hefty upgrade for the price point. You're getting a lot out of that for that price point.
Yes.
Especially if you're trying to compete, especially if you're at the track, especially if you're trying to get the most out of your motor, if you're building something to try to go fast or you need something to handle. That's a pretty decent money to horsepower or a functional ratio to me at that price point.
Yeah. So even like, let's say you don't want to source something out, you're looking anywhere between like 55 to like 7,000, if you don't want to source it, you're like, hey, you know what? Just
bang it out for me.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people, they don't want to hassle because, they just don't want to deal with it. They're just like, you know what, the time of them to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to the yards. They don't want to have to.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to have to clean it up. They just want to, just deliver it, and I can start installing it.
Exactly.
And that does matter. That does matter because if you're already in the build, sometimes things can already be a headache. I've dealt with several headaches myself, so I can definitely understand just the price and comfortable and reassurance in knowing that I have everything I need from S1 built and I should be ready to go. Yeah. All right. So do you foresee any, because I remember last time we talked on IG before we leave here, I remember you were saying that you all were going to be working on the V6, the 6-cylinder Honda, the J series at some point in time. So is that project still going or has it been put to a halt or what's going on with the J series?
No, it's actually hasn't. We're going to even push harder this coming year. So we have I'll tell everybody, we have the bell housing. We've been trying to produce this bell housing ever since I talked to you the last, it's been like
about
5 years now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But we've been getting the runaround by, machining companies, this and that and everything. So now we finally did our own and stuff like that. So we're almost done with the drawing. We're going to be printing it out and all that. We're going to test it out. So we have about 4 or 5 J series that's ready to go that needs a thing. And we even have the adapter plate we made years and years ago that we're just going to test out. Then we're going to use the bell housing. We're going to get into the J's. I mean, that's going to be like, that's one we're going to really, really push. We're going to make a lot of stuff for the J series because we know that's where it's going to go. The K series are great motor. Right. But, if you have a Accord with a J in it already, TLs, CLs and all that. And some people are like, you know what? I want the comfort. I want to have AC. I want to be all-wheel drive, 600-700 horsepower. That's reliable. I mean, the J is going to be the way,
Right.
I think it's going to push the Honda that much further. I think that's where, but, talking about it, no one's really going to believe you. People want to see proof. That's it.
True.
Once everything is proven and all that, I think there's going to be a lot more people.
A lot more people on board with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. They're just waiting to see it really manifest and see it happen.
Yes. Because right now, like they make power. The only problem is like you can't put it to the ground. It's useless, you know.
Right. And I've seen a couple of Civics. I think we have one here around that has a J series in it. And he's a pretty cool guy. So I could imagine. So is this going to be J series that are in Civics and Integras, or J series just in a okay? So it's J series across the board. Oh man, that's going to be crazy.
You want to swap it to anything? So we've been, you know, trying to figure out a lot of things, you know, what will work, this is and everything. So, but I think we have everything down, but it's just producing it now, and then you know, going forward and showing like, okay, this is what we're doing, it works, you know. That's just to prove people that, hey, this is the way it's going. But we have it. We got all the cars. It's been sitting here, you know, the Prelude with the J. So that all-wheel drive system is all done. We're just waiting to put the right all-wheel drive tranny on it, you know. And people always like, well, why don't you use a J series all-wheel drive tranny? It's not the same as a K, you know, because a K, you got more options. You could do different gears. You could use, you know, like the support's there already.
Or the support is there for it already.
Exactly.
Damn, there's a lot of parts that you're connecting at, but when it's done, it's going to be, I do reckon it will probably be another burst of influence and products out there in cars making all kinds of swaps once that's done, because that is a very critical situation as far as the J series. Can I put the power down? And right now, like we said, we're all over the place with a 300 power K series. Just imagine the torque of a 6-cylinder in there. That's just a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be in that territory with the Supras and the Skylines.
That's going to be crazy, son. Yo, well, listen, we got this time. Will you tell people where they can come, where they can find you, websites, any of that information, so they can reach out to you? I will be putting links to make it easier for you all, but I'm gonna let Sanyo tell you all where you can come find them. Yeah,
we're pretty much on all the social media platform. All of it's just under S1 Belt, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We also got YouTube. So we try to share a lot of knowledge on YouTube, you know, on some, because a lot of stuff that people ask, they could actually find some of the answers on YouTube, because we don't like to really keep secrets and all that. Is whatever we do, it's just, our YouTube is just basically us, our day-to-day life, you know. That's what it's supposed to be.
Cool. So listen, you all, this is a buyer's guide, but like Sanyo said, you can go to the YouTube, you can go to the Instagram. They are very responsive if you need to ask questions. Are you looking for support? I've never not called and been put off. Very good customer service, very high quality product, good company overall. And I'm trying to bring more companies to you all so that you can have better build experiences, because there's nothing like building and having companies put you off, having companies not deliver, having companies not support you. So what we want to do is make a network and a place where you can come and say, hey, this is a company that I've dealt with. You can deal with them, and here's some information for you to watch so you can make a better buying choice. So I really appreciate S1 Build. I really appreciate you, Sanyo, for providing the time you've provided it any time I've asked, and that's been awesome. And I can't wait to put my S1 Build trailing arms and get you all pictures of those when they're installed on the Wide Body Tech build. But that is it for Just Build It podcast. We will be back again, especially when Sanyo and S1 Build put this V6 monster together. I definitely want to have you back for that. All right.
Definitely. So thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. Y'all take it easy, and remember, just build it. Peace.
Just build it. That's right.